War Eagle Auburn family, welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we sit down, we get together, and we go through what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. We're always heavy on the sports here on this channel, but if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. Thank you for joining us, whether you're watching live or on the replay. We appreciate you hanging out with us for even just a few minutes of your special, hard-earned time. On this live stream, we're going to be doing another post-game show on the road, obviously, as we're in the mobile assault vehicle, I guess you want to call it, for E2C Network live on the road, my car, aka. So we're going to be breaking down Auburn versus Texas A&M, talking about what happened, the exciting-ish game that it was, in that we pretty much manhandled. It's probably the best team it's the best game within the SEC that Auburn has manhandled somebody thus far this season. So we'll talk about that, a little bit of the stats. I do have those pulled up so we can talk some of that. I want to hear about your comments, your questions, and doing things a little bit different with the mobile way we pull this show off. So I hope you guys can hear me okay. Hope you guys can see me fine. Trying to still get used to the new setup and how we're trying to always change things and make them a little bit better for you here on the stream. So a couple things that you can do for me as we get the stream started tonight. A lot of you know the drill. It is time for the check-in process. Right now in the comment section, first thing you can do is hit that like button, the retweet button, share button, depending on where you're watching. Also post where you're watching from, city, state, international, with a War Eagle, and I'll do my best to actually bring some comments up like we do at home. I think I can do it. In fact, let's try it real quick. I might have to, let's see if I can actually do it on my phone or not. I'm not exactly sure, to be honest with you. Let's see. There we go. We can, but I will have to touch the screen a few times, and it could get a little bit crazy from time to time, and you will see people walking beside and out. So this is all a little bit new and different for me here, but a lot of you are already checking in. Thank you guys so much for being here. Auburn wins 75-58. Texas A&M, the outlive cancer game for Bruce Pearl. College game day in town. What an absolutely fun and amazing game. I was not blessed enough to be there. Came this close to getting in there. I was very frustrated how I missed out on an opportunity to get into the game for a decent price. But I watched it here on campus and have enjoyed the heck out of just being on campus on a beautiful day here in Auburn, Alabama. A lot of you already checking in. The laptop. I see the comments now about the laptop. A lot of you already have checked in. Good to see a lot of you, of our regular people, in here right now. Devin has always been faithful in helping us stay up to date on what the Twitter meme blast is going on right now. 1,019 tweets in 8 minutes. A&M put up the tweet and then said, "Go for it. Love that most teams are good sports." Unlike some teams that, let's just be frank here. Texas A&M, not a good basketball team, not as good as we thought they were going to be, and yet they're being good sports about it and just taking the L and dealing with it. And that's how you endear yourself to us. That's how you endear yourself toward the Auburn family. And who knows, maybe that will develop an almost Murray State type of relationship with them, where they just kind of are like, hey, let's just jump on the bandwagon and have fun with it too. And then we can root for Texas A&M the rest of the season. I don't know. We could, possibly. Let's see here. Trying to figure out how to best manage through some of the comments and questions here on this different type of format. Hasn't been himself since he injured that finger. Unbeaten Lake talking about KD. I vaguely remember the KD situation. I will say that as a former, basketball player, I still play, but I only say former because I obviously have not been part of a team. Have you seen this body? Can't really compete like those can these days. Fingers, jammed fingers, dislocated fingers, they can wreak havoc with your. And there's someone's alarm going off in the background. I don't know if you can hear that, which is what you deal with on the road. They can be problematic. They can be tough to work through, but I don't amount a lot of that to what's going on with him. He's just in kind of a little bit of funk right now. It happens in basketball. Your shot's off, your game's off just a little bit. Katie Johnson tonight, 11 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He only has 1 turnover in 27 minutes of play. Wasn't a great game for him by any stretch of the imagination, but it wasn't, a bad game either. Blake, didn't see much of the second half, but from what I saw, we played unselfish, and when we played unselfish, we're the best team in the country. Free throws better today as well. I'm gonna take a look. I didn't even pay attention to free throws because I was so upset about them in the last game, to be honest with you. Let's see. Free throw percentage today, 64%. Not good. Compared to Texas A&M's 81%. Excellent Texas A&M. So you get the gold star from me on that. Obviously, this is a game where Auburn was far and away the better team. And, we talk about those three key features, the free throws, the turnovers, and the rebounds. Turnovers, Auburn barely wins that, but this, wasn't a super bad turnover game for both teams. It depends on how you see turnovers. 11 for Auburn, 12 for Texas A&M. Rebounds, Auburn wins that enough, not convincingly, but enough. So Auburn takes care of their issues in each of those different categories, which will help them win the game. But they're just a better team than Texas A&M too. So it doesn't really, that factors in a little bit less when you're such a far superior talent-wise team. And no offense to Texas A&M, it's just they are not good right now. Let's see here. If we keep this Flanagan, it's gonna get scary. One easily, Katie. One. If we can keep this, Flanagan is gone. Okay, I'm not understanding that comment. Let me move forward here. I know you wanted Arkansas to keep winning, but I'm glad they lost to Alabama. That's official now. I actually haven't watched the game or been paying attention to it since I tried to get this set up over here. But last I checked, Arkansas was making a run for it. But yeah, glad they lost to Bama. That puts them back another game from within our reach. Yeah, there is a case to be made for looking at it that way. So if they have that, tiebreaker on us now, because we won't get to face them in the regular season again, then yes, definitely them losing in that aspect of the game is great. But if, we want our losses to look good, which is why we should root for UConn, which is why we should root for Arkansas at this point. Arkansas, it's probably one of those situations where you're like, okay, yeah, if they take a loss, it's not that bad, because obviously we need to put some separation there. And one thing that was said earlier, I wanted to reiterate on sharing the ball today. There's so much talent on Auburn team. When we don't share the ball, you isolate that talent from having opportunities to utilize that talent. But you saw what happened. Everybody, Jabari, Jalen Williams, was driving to the lane and not forcing things for the most part today and looking for the open player, whether that's out of the three-point arc, whether that's at the mid-range jumper, whether that's down low to Kessler, whether that's Devin Cambridge throwing it down in the lane. I mean, he just had 5 highlights tonight. I mean, there's a lot of great things to talk about in this game. Awesome defensive effort. The first half was a work of art. It absolutely was. They asked Bruce Pearl about it at the half, and he was very impressed with his team, and just was very complimentary of them. If you look at rebounds, defensive rebounds, we won 34-27. Let's look here. Blocks, 14. Courtesy of Walker Kessler. I'll pull his up in a second. 6 steals. Pretty good. I think, what was our allowed points? Yeah, 18 points allowed in the first half. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. They did play really well, only countered by Texas A&M not having a great shooting day. I've said this several times already. Texas A&M is not a good basketball team. They're probably better than Georgia on most days, but they were not shooting well today. And when you shoot that poorly, especially to start off the game on the road, you're going to have a rough day. Better be talented in some other areas. Let's see here. With how Flanagan played, definitely an improvement over the last few games. Let's look at Alan Flanagan. 16 points for him. 5 for 6 from the free throw, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 5 for 11 from the field, and 1 for 6 from 3. And we're going to start seeing that. Allen really needed more time to come back to get into the flow of things. He's a very talented player, so you were going to see flashes of that come out when he got back on the floor, period. But he needs more time to come back from that thing, get back into the rhythm, not just of his own game, but how his team plays and how his team needs him to do. So that's really good. Green, we got to do better on the turnover. I guess it's killing us in the game, but the game was good, even though we want to take a win over any game. So another one I'm kind of having a hard time following there. Sorry. Cliff, thanks for checking in. Good to see you here. Zep Jasper, fundamentals on defense are textbook. Glad to have them back. As we said in our previous live streams, if you ever doubted Zep Jasper's contributions to this team, the last couple of games were evidence that you were wrong. What he provides in stability for everybody on that team, whether it's defensively, the way he controls the ball, bringing it down there, passing the ball around. And he's not even, let's look at the assist for him. Jasper tonight only gets 1 assist, 1 point tonight. His stats are literally like 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1. It's like a binary code for those of you that are computer people. And, or 1, 0, 1, I guess, technically. You could say that at least. He's just invaluable in so many areas, which makes him such a key asset to this team. Good to see you, Clint, checking in as always. By the way, if you haven't, you need to go check out our live stream that we just recently did with Clint, breaking down how to put together an Auburn football helmet, not just in like structure-wise, but the decals, the stickers, all that good stuff. You can see people piling in right here. I'm assuming that's and going by me. I'm in a parking lot. Timmer's corner is that way, so I'm assuming that's where everybody's heading. I will go there as soon as we're done here, but I figured why not go ahead and jump on now. Unbeaten Lake. It was a very weird game day. I wanted game day to come back to Auburn, but A&M isn't really that good, and they were stuck in the corner away from the student section. They, as much as they sometimes decide where they're going to go for a game day, kind of on a week-to-week basis, they kind of have an idea where they want to go. So I'm pretty sure Bruce, being buddy with everybody at ESPN, said, why don't you come to my Outlive Cancer game? And it's a great promotion to be at. And we usually expect Texas A&M to be a lot better or typically a little bit more consistent, and they weren't in this game, which is sad because I think while this was entertaining, Auburn fans got to have fun, the Auburn players got to have some fun. You definitely would have hoped this would have been a little bit more of a challenge, at least in the first half. The way that Texas A&M started off in the first half, you just knew that this was Auburn's day just to kind of not sit back. And I think that's the great thing that I liked about this. While there, again, some tendencies for Auburn to get a little lackadaisical at times, make some turnover mistakes, things of that nature, they kind of got to just take it easy is not the right word. I don't know what word I'm looking for, but just relax in a good way and just sit back, have fun, and play within yourself and play within your teammates and the structure that you have. Jabari was a little off this game, but still did some good things. Yes, Jabari, let's look at him. 9 points. He had 1 for 3 from the 3-point arc, 2 for 4 from free throws, 8 rebounds. So that close to a double-double for him. We'll talk about Walker Kessler in just a little bit. Here, real quick, what was your favorite play of the game? If you're watching live right now, what was your favorite play of the game? There are a lot of choices that you could have. If you are a academic-based basketball player, meaning that you understand the extreme nuances of the game, some of those moves that Walker Kessler made in the paint that just seem ordinary to most people were outstanding. So there was like one in particular where the ball was brought down to him from the corner in the 3-point arc, and he grabs it, pivots around back to the middle of the paint, throws it up, and then steps to the side and then just dunks it. That one for me, even over the Devin Cambridge things, he was just putting on a clinic today. Walker Kessler was with the way he was playing. Yahari checking in from San Antonio. Great defensive effort. Still need to clean up offense. Perhaps it was the early start. Well, you know how Auburn teams seem to be with early times, right? Listen, I think early starts seem to have kind of a little voodoo on us or whatever, but you can't deny how great defensively they were in the first half, with also coupling how bad offensively Texas A&M was. Let's see. Should not lose again, I hope. Well, you got a few challenging games on the road. Tennessee, Florida, and I'd throw Mississippi State in there as well. And you still got to finish out the rest of the season with, you got Vanderbilt, South Carolina, and I feel like I'm missing one. Maybe I'm not, but I feel like I'm missing one in there as well. Good minute. Cam, great point here. Dylan Cardwell, and I was thinking about this, and I try to, like, when I'm watching the games, I probably should just write them down, but take mental notes to talk to you guys about. One of the things that I kept seeing is that Dylan is finding his space and his role, and he always has known that and has done that for this team, but he's now becoming more of a go-to asset, and you don't just wait for him to clean things up. And he's doing that still offensively, your defense, getting rebounds and even putting them back up. But he's becoming very well-rounded for a big man. And I think that's going to continue to get him some more minutes. Dylan Cardwell, 9 points today. If he hadn't gotten foul trouble, he may have seen even more. How many minutes did he play? I don't have it right here next to me. But 3 rebounds. I think he almost had that steal, or he did have that one steal. It was a great game for him. Great point to bring up. Let's see here. Walker Kessler is the best big man in the country right now. He played amazing today. So they talked about this on the broadcast. Who has the best front court, that being your big men in America? And it's hard to make a case for anything other than Auburn. Jabari, Walker Kessler. It's hard to beat that, my friends. And there's probably a few out there that can maybe have an argument, but not when you're touting the potential #1 overall draft pick, at least a top 5, if not top 3. Some people are now putting him at 6 and stuff. That's just stupid. I know it depends on which team needs what and all that kind of stuff. But Walker Kessler is rising up the boards as well. All right, let me move forward just a little bit ahead here. All the dunks from the game, Cool Luke says, well, you had your pick of that, and most of them were at hands of Devin Cambridge, and he had several that he missed or just couldn't get down properly. Devin Cambridge is a human highlight reel. I did a video right at the beginning of the season before it started where they did the dunk contest at the open practice. I hope you'll go back and check that out. It was him and not Lior. Who was it? Why? It's not Chase Mazdrop, however you say his last name. It wasn't him. One of the other walk-ons, and of course, Devin won that one handily there. My favorite play was seeing Lior Behrman. Speaking of Lior Behrman, he got back in, albeit in garbage time, but to get him back out on the floor there and get him in a rhythm, because as you saw, when Auburn takes an injury or someone has to sit out for some reason at the backcourt position, you've got, guards, point guards, things like that, swingmen. They really suffer a little bit. And so having a guy that you can come in and rely on for some minutes is going to be huge. WT Gardner from Pelham. Nice to get a big win. Yes, it's big in the sense that you're on your home court, national television with the eyes of college basketball on you with game day. That's big in and of itself. It's big in rebounding after an SEC or a loss in general. But it's pretty easy going win today. And you can just feel like the energy on campus is just one of kind of satisfaction of us just saying, we took care of business today. Let's see. Devin says many of the plays, but honestly, I love the dunk from Flanagan towards the end. Good to see him getting back into the groove with the team. So really, I think a lot of us, or somebody was addressing earlier about KD maybe kind of being a little bit off lately, but you see what happens here. One guy slumps that's been just carrying the team at times this season, and the other guys are starting to rise. Dylan Cardwell, Alan Flanagan, and then you've got Jabari and Walker Kessler just doing Jabari and Walker things. So, it kind of ebbs and flows, and when you have a good team, when you're off, everybody else is picking your game back up till you get that going, and then you carry the load again. A lot of good things there. Yes, this is important to bring up. Obviously, we're talking about basketball, but a lot of people wanted to see this. Coach Harsin showed what kind of man he was by showing up today. Here in my respect, going through everything and coming out smiling. Well, I would suspect nothing less from a guy who wants to have a successful football program. I was talking with a buddy too, and he was very passionate about it. He understood that he couldn't necessarily like require this of him. After what you've been through, I would go take some time just to be out of the spotlight for a little bit. But he shows up, comes to the student section, smiling, having fun, gets up in there with them. And that's a great start to kind of rebuilding this foundation. So just a quick aside amongst all the basketballs for all of you out there that are still wanting to be mad and point fingers, you need to take a cue from Coach Harsin. If your coach, at least in public, is not participating in that kind of stuff, you don't need to be either. Let it go. Be like Elsa, let it go. I'll drop the Disney references right now. Player of the game. I want to hear from you right now. Who is your player of the game for Auburn versus Texas A&M? 58-75 win over the Aggies. And this one it could be an easy pick, but there's probably a lot of options. There are a lot of cases for you to be able to make some great things. I will submit to you maybe Devin Cambridge needs to be in that discussion point. Green says that Bruce Pearl is an amazing coach. It's the understatement of the year. One of the best coaches that I've seen about actually coaching, but then letting your players play is one of the things, and shout out to my former high school coach, Jim Brantley. Hopefully he'll agree with me if he ever saw this, but he allowed us to do something similar towards the end of my senior year. And it just kind of opened my game up, but it opened the rest of the team's game up. But he was still coaching us, and he wasn't just letting us go out there willy-nilly. But you can see what that does when things are going right, when the team is grooving and they know that they have that freedom, that coaching to fall back on. It's a deadly, deadly thing for other teams. Linda, I did not get into the game. I was actually outside the arena up until like 2 minutes into the game, looking at ticket prices. It got down to kind of where maybe I could have pulled the trigger, but I was just like, you know what? It's a nice day on campus. I kind of walked around and got on my computer at the student center and just I enjoyed being here for the atmosphere just as much as I did the game. Wish I could have got in so I could be part of the Outlive Cancer game, but alas, not to be the case today. Kessler, player of the game. Kessler with the triple-double. I mean, it's hard to beat that. We haven't even mentioned it yet. 12 points, 11 rebounds. And let me get his official block tally here pulled up. 12 blocks. Is that his second triple-double this season? I can't remember. Was that his first? I cannot remember. Feels like he's had more than that, to be honest with you. Walker Kessler, enjoy him while he's here. He may be gone this year too. That's bittersweet to say because this is a guy I was kind of counting on being here next year. I don't think we're going to have him. I just don't. We got Kessler, Casey, Walker. I think you meant Walker Kessler. I don't know. See Flanagan play a good game. Yes, absolutely. Blake, Alan Flanagan felt like he had the best game scoring since he has been back. Like you said, Cambridge or Kessler with the performance. I think the easy go-to, and it doesn't make it wrong, is Kessler. Triple-double speaks for itself. Devin Cambridge just was very effective in his skill set tonight. The dunks, obviously, but he was doing other things as well. Obviously, he didn't take any. Actually, let me back up here. He did take 4 threes tonight, which he missed all, but I don't recall any of them being super ugly shots. So that was probably a good thing for him as well. We haven't even talked about Wendell Green, who only had 2 points. So really between Zep and Wendell, the guards really weren't a factor, what we traditionally think of as the guards. Who else could it be? Yeah, I agree. Game day this morning, and BPI had Auburn number 1 with a 2% chance to win the ring, still getting no love. Well, I wouldn't get so much worried about that because what do they know what they're talking about? But, Auburn has showed that it has some deficiencies that it needs to address. For instance, what happens if you lose a Zep Jasper or Wendell Green? How do you combat that? They did it in one game, but they weren't able to do it in the second game. Here, in a game where guards really weren't a factor, it didn't matter as much because everybody else, and you had your home court advantage, were flowing. So there are some things that people have to make a case against Auburn being number one or being expected to win the national championship. Let's just let it play out, though. Pearl's becoming a legend in the present for Auburn. It's probably still a little too early to call legend, but in terms of being one of the most storied coaches in our program's history, yes. I'd say he is probably about even with Sonny Smith, just because Sonny, of his time of being here, what he did with Charles, with the Persons, and everybody else. Cliff Ellis is probably number 3 on that list at this point. It's not a very long list, but Bruce is certainly on his way to becoming the best of it. Devin says this was his first triple-double, or his second triple-double. First one was LSU. I thought so. Thank you. He's a unicorn. He changes so many shots. Walker, the Auburn game changer. It's funny that you said that. I'm thinking of doing a podcast pretty soon here on the topic of just giving the basketball players, all the starters, or it's not starters, but the ones that we regularly see, down to Leor Behrman, nicknames. We might do something like that soon, just for fun. Why not? Like to have a little fun every now and again. Dusty wants to know, are we going to win the whole thing? Dusty, you know better than to ask this as an Auburn fan. Don't set yourself up for failure. Just be happy with where we are right now. Georgia's playing terrible at home. Georgia's not a good team. I know we almost lost to them, but we were not playing a great game that day. They are not a good team. Florida could upset Kentucky, and that's why you should be worried about Florida in Gainesville. They also were missing a couple of key players when we played them here early on in SEC play. I'm very worried about that game. It'll be a good win for Auburn to put on their resume if they can pull it off in Gainesville, because it will show, especially if we're healthy, this is what an Auburn team, when we're healthy, is capable of. That Arkansas game, not making an excuse, but was without Zep Jasper, so you have to at least factor that in. Give it a little bit of, credence in terms of how you assess how good this team is. It'll show healthy Auburn team going to Gainesville, who's on the rise right now, getting that win potentially will kind of almost negate that Arkansas loss. Let's see here. Back up. Dusty says, no, Kyle, I'm not asking. I'm telling. This is the time. Embrace it. My little Auburn-loving heart wants to embrace that, but my also scarred, withered Auburn heart, who has been destroyed over so many times, always has a shade of doubt in there that takes over. That's just the way I like to operate, because it protects my little poor, weak self from any disappointment that we might experience as an Auburn family. Anyway, so we've hit a lot of the highlights. We've talked about Katie, Jabari, Zep, Kessler, Flanagan. Wendell really didn't have a great, just in terms of something to talk about game. I got to see a lot of the bench players. Chris Moore got in. Leor Berman got back in. Preston Cook got to see some time. I'm happy that Preston's starting to get a little bit of time when people are hurt. I don't think that he is obviously expecting to play a lot, but seeing that Bruce Pearl puts him in and trusts him in those situations to come in and not make things worse speaks to how he's progressed as a player. Linda just says, pain. I feel that. I feel that right here. Larry, I watched Pistol Pete versus John Mingelt. Wow, and Beardy's. This team gives me the same feeling. Well, Larry, I did not watch that. I do not remember that, but because I wasn't alive. But I will trust you when you say that is what it looks like there. Just trying to run through some of the stats too here. Auburn pretty decent, 40% shooting. Not great. Nobody shot well from 3 today. Free throw percentage, Turnovers pretty okay. Points off of turnovers were pretty respectable for both teams in terms of how many they brought up. Points in the paint, Auburn dominated 48-32. Just kind of running down some of the stats, and bench points were pretty even. There's one area where you'd like to see maybe Auburn to continue to show it can do this consistently is bench points. And with Wendell coming off the bench, that usually happens, and you can kind of see when he doesn't have an outstanding game offensively, it reflects that in the bench points. At least what we've come used to know. Yes, great to see Lior back, getting him back into the groove of things. And so you're going to have to give him some time and patience before Bruce starts inserting him back into maybe some of the time that we were used to seeing him with. We're the only Division I team who hasn't lost with their whole team this year. Now, do you know that for a fact? If you've watched every other team, I commend you, sir. But I do not know that for the fact, so I'm not going to corroborate that. But we are I think I can say this with 100% confidence that we're the only team that hasn't lost in regulation. Yes, pretty sure that is true. But anyway. All right, final thoughts, questions, derogatory rebuttal. Get them in now. We're going to just give you a couple of reminders here. I'm testing out if I can still do this on my phone. We can. So, as a reminder, our stream today is brought to you by the channel membership program. You can sign up here on this channel for $1 a month. Just hit that join button. It's easier to find it on the desktop. Hit the join button, $1 a month, and you'll get access to those little icons next to your name. You've seen a lot of people have those today, and those emojis that you can use throughout our streams, including the brand new peacock. Check that out. There's other links in the description that you can do, such as joining the Booster Club, TeePublic Store, all that good stuff to help support our content here. But I just appreciate you being here, smashing that like button, sharing it out on social media. That means the world to me. So thank you guys so much for doing that. All right, let's get a few more comments and questions in, and then I'm going to go celebrate at Tumors. And if you look on social media, you'll probably see some pictures. Cambridge's development as a high-level rebounder is very underappreciated aspect of our team's trajectory. He has become a huge factor in helping us win the boards battle. I completely agree with that. Devin is one of the most streaky three-point and just shooters in general that I've seen in Auburn's history in quite some time. But when he's on, he's on. He is so athletic and so talented when he gets a little lane to the hole, especially when he's having an oop thrown to him. But he needed something else for his game. And the offensive rebounding, too, is absolutely underrated. We've talked about it a little bit here, but it's been one of the hope you guys can still see me a little bit. Sorry. That's the thing of doing that on the road. But I hope you heard me say that, Cambridge ascendancy to a rebounding force is really good. Dusty says, smash the like button, join the Booster Club. I agree. You don't have to, but we hope that you will. There's great people like Dusty in it. He's also a channel member here, so you can do that. Green, thank you so much. You have a good day as well, sir, and War Eagle. All right, folks, I think that's going to do it. A little bit shorter stream today, but we are on the road. I appreciate you guys letting me work through the new system here, trying to figure out if this is the best way to do the mobile ones on the road. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Smash the like button on the way out. We are 23-2. Let's see what happens the rest of the season. I'm excited. Till next time, War Eagle, my friends. And this will be awkward because I don't know how to actually turn this thing off. There it is. War Eagle. Have a great day.